What's up, you? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jarrell coming to you from Colossal Boxing Talk with special guest Hammer Hank Lundy.
What's up, you? What's the deal, bro? What's going on?
Hey man, we just chilling. Mike, what you got to say?
What's good, YouTube? As y'all know, this is Smooth Cat. What's up, Hank? How you doing? Chilling, man. Working hard. You know me. Hard work, son. Yes, sir. Hard work every day, all day. Yes, sir.
Hey, first question we want to ask you is you a few weeks ago you announced on Facebook that you and Jorge Linares will be fighting for the vacant WBC lightweight title. Is there any update you can give us on how the negotiations are going and when that fight may take place?
Well, right now, I know Miguel Figueroa, I know he was moving up. So that leaves me and the numbers, ready to fight for that title. So what's going on now? We're waiting to hear back from the WBC, and the people, to see what's going on. But it all got to do with, Figueroa moving up. And once, because Linares is number one and I'm number two. And, from what I'm hearing, it's a mandatory for me and him to fight.
Okay, that would definitely be a very good fight. Both of y'all are fast guys, terrific boxers. And that would be an explosive fight. Mike, you want to chime in?
Okay, hey, all right, Hank, I've seen a few situations where on Facebook, like not to bring too much drama into it, but where you and Crawford, y'all kind of got into it. Is this a fight that you looking at to make somewhere down the line? Man, I'm ready to fight him any given day. At the end of the day, these guys are running and ducking from Hank Lundy. Like I tell you, man, I'm an old throwback, man. I don't care who you are, I'm coming to fight, And these guys, they scared of me, man. I'm a big threat in this game. I run and duck from nobody. I fought any and everybody they put in front of me, but these guys should do the same.
We definitely agree. Mike, matter of fact, over the last year, you have been mentioned as possible opponents, as a possible opponent for Lucas Matisse and Ruslan Provodnikov. What happened with those fights not materializing?
Well, with the fight with Lucas Matisse, it was the old manager I had. I actually got rid of him. Due to he was stealing money and I fought everything. And the guy got fired. So, we went through court and everything, but on paper, he was still considered my manager, and, they was reaching out to him, but they was reaching out, I got word on the fight, and everything, and, for that fight, I was going to get 250, for fighting Matisse. Hey, win or lose, Golden Boy wanted to sign me. So, the promoter, stepped in, and, the manager, he stepped in and said, if anybody do any business without his knowing, he was going to sue. He's going to sue Golden Boy. But at the end of the day, my promoter is the one that performed the fight. So we got court documentation. Documentation from the court stating, that it's okay to fight, and this guy couldn't do nothing. By the time we went back, they get a fight to Mike Dollar.
Yeah. Okay. And you also called out Ruslan Provodnikov and said that HBO was interested in you two guys fighting. Why did that fight materialize? Was it something that they look at you as high risk, no reward, or just couldn't come up with agreed terms, or what was it?
Well, with that fight, it was I was dangerous. They got everybody on that sheet. It was a list of guys. It was Hank Lundy. There's the boy the guy that just beat him. A couple other people, but Thomas had done well. And they mentioned these guys, and they said they were born fighters. When they got the Hank Lundy name, there was no excuse. It wasn't no born fighter. It just we don't want to fight that guy. At the end of the day, they wanted a guy that was going to stand in front of you. This is the game. If he was a champ, let him fight the guy that worked his way up, to the top and fight. They were just scared of him.
I definitely agree with that. That is a common excuse used by brawlers that can't deal with athletic boxers. Is they want a guy to stand toe to toe to make them look good, which is not gonna always be the case. You got to fight all comers. So hopefully y'all can get in the ring sometime down the road and put on a terrific fight. Mike, you want to chime in?
Okay, now in the case of Ruslan, I think you put a few memes up about you got the one where he looked like he's shaking, saying he was scared in his boots about fighting you. Now, yeah, I know a lot of guys are. I know a lot of guys aren't too anxious to get in there with you. But I mean, what I say is, now out of the guys you fought and the guys who beat you, which loss affected you the most?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, neither one of them, none of them. Because at the end of the day, you know, I took and learned something from each fight. You know, in them fights, I beat myself. If you look at them fights, I beat myself. It wasn't like none of these guys played out, you know, dominated. You know, I beat myself in the ring. With the fight with John Molina, I was beating the whole fight, and a lot of people didn't know. Before that fight, I was sick. I had food poisoning, and that came from that manager that I had. Mm-hmm. You know. And he betted against me on that fight. It was crazy. He betted against me on that fight, and I ended up sick. My promoter, Jimmy Birdsfield, didn't want me to fight the fight, but I went out there, you know, for anyway. 15 minutes before the fight, I was throwing up, and I had diarrhea, you know, 15 minutes before I went out there and fought. But I still went out there and fought, you know, not taking nothing away from John Molina, you know. He fought a good fight, you know, he did what he had to do, but the fight was stopped prematurely, you know, at the end of the day. And I've been trying to get that rematch, and John Molina comes on TV and tells ESPN he was done with that chapter in his life, you know? And then with, you know, Beltran, after that fight, you know, I clearly won. You know, it started off, we was going to war, you know, but at the end of the day, I controlled it, and I boxed him, and I won. And at the end of the day, they gave the fight to him, but he came over into my dressing room and told me, you won the fight, you know? And like I said, I have nothing against Ray Beltran. We still communicate. You know, I told him if he needs me to come out there and help him against Terrence, you know, get him ready for Terrence, I'm here, you know. But like I told him, just beware of me coming. If you get that title, I'm coming to get that belt.
So it is safe to say that you're eyeing the winner of Beltran and Crawford, depending on how the situation shake out with you and Linares, you know, as a possible fight down the line with a rematch with Beltran or to settle the grudge match you have with Crawford. Is that correct?
So I'm going to tell you like this. Whoever gets that belt, I grab the belt, I'm on everybody's heels. I want to unify all titles. So whoever becomes king, I'm coming at you.
Okay, are you interested in going back to junior welterweight for the right fight, or is it safe to say that you're really permanently be campaigning at lightweight?
Well, you know, I'm fighting at both weights, 135 and 140. You know, the thing about me, you know, weight, I'm so bigger than most of these guys at 135, but at 140, you know, I'm good up there too. I hold a lot of punching power, so I'm ready for that too.
Okay. You looked impressive. You have been improving each and every fight. What can you say you've learned from each defeat that made you a better fighter at this point in your career?
What you say again? Can you repeat that again?
I said you've improved each and every fight, whether it was a defeat or a victory. I was asking you, what have you learned from your losses that has made you a better fight at this point in your career?
Well, you know, one of the main things that I've learned, you know, going into these fights, you going through things outside of the ring and things outside of boxing, you have to remember at the end of the day, you can't let that affect you because this is your life in the ring. You know, you could get hurt. If you take all that pressure from outside of the ring and things that are going on in the home, you can really get hurt. You know, sometimes you got to put that behind you and go in there and let that be your fuel. You know, don't let it de-fuel you. You know, let it add to the fire and go in there and handle business.
Definitely agree with that, Mike.
Okay, now, okay, now, Hank, now let's just say this because I remember you another post I saw you wrote about Danny. Is that a fight that you looking for?
Oh, listen, I'm ready to fight Danny any given time, man. That's easy work. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna put it like this. They got the world food, but they ain't got Hammer and Hank food. You know, certain people, you know what I mean, they're in the city, they know what it is with that fight, man. Like I said, once again, in order to beat the best, you got to fight the best.
Most definitely. Hey, now, when you say easy work, now, do you believe like you would just dominate them, potentially stop them, or just beat them soundly?
Listen, down for the run. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you like that. You know, if it won't come to stop us, he get beat bad.
That definitely would be an interesting fight because he seems to be bothered by active, aggressive fighters, and you would be different from Herrera and Morales and Matisse because you can box and you can punch. So he definitely will have his hands full in that fight. Another fight that I find that would be interesting, I guess, is a couple fights would be you versus Adrian Broner or you versus Lamont Peterson. Would you be? I know you said you'd be interested in fighting those guys, so obviously I don't need to ask you that question. But what are your thoughts on those two guys and potential fights with those two?
Well, listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. You know, I've been in camp, you know, with Adrian and Lamont, you know. But at the end of the day, this is business, you know. And you know me, I don't care who it is, man. Let's glove up, let's fight. Let's do what we gotta do.
Definitely, I'm glad to hear you say that, man. It's good that it's refreshing to hear a fighter with that mentality that's willing to earn their spot in this sport. Well, is there anything you would like to say to your fans that's been supporting you throughout your career?
Well, you know, the ride or die Hammer and Hank fans, you know, we've been through a lot of ups and downs in my career, you know, but at the end of the day, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We hold our head high, you know. I'm one of the workhorses in the game and one of the most feared guys in the game. You know, I'm not signed by a big-time, you know, Al Heyman or a big-time promoter. Hammer and Hank is all about hard work. I made it to the top by fighting the toughest and the roughest, you know, the guys that nobody will fight, you know. And everywhere I go, you know, Hammer and Hank get respect. I get more respect than people in their own hometown. I'm one of the realest in the game. You know? Yeah. So, you know, I just appreciate my fans for riding with me. And, you know, this year we bring home a world title.
Hey, and I want to say thank you again for granting us this opportunity. And you know, I can speak on Mike when I say this, that we're finally glad to see that you potentially going to get your world title fight because you've been on the doorstep so many times and for whatever reasons it's been snatched away. But, you know, we're happy that you're going to get your title shot and we look forward to you doing big things from here on out. And we want to wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of your career.
I'm going to end it like this, you know, appreciate the love from you guys, but y'all can follow me, you know, on Instagram, Hammerin_, Hank_Lundy, you know, Twitter, Hammerin_Hank30, and, you know, on Facebook, Hammerin_Hank Lundy, you know. I'm going to end it like this, Hammer and Hank coming to a city and town, AU is Hammertown.
All right, hey, thanks, man, and have a good rest of the night, and we enjoyed talking to you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, and continue success throughout the rest of your career.
I got you, baby. Much love.
All right.